All right, let's talk about building for the web. Today, we're going to lay out a clear, simple, and super effective roadmap to take you from total beginner to web developer in just about 8 weeks. Sound good? Let's get started.
You know that feeling? You look at a cool website and think, I want to build something like that. But then you get hit with this tidal wave of different languages, frameworks, and tools. It's a lot. It can be totally overwhelming. But don't worry, this roadmap is all about cutting through that noise and giving you a really clear path forward.
So here's our journey for the next few minutes. We're starting by laying the foundation. Then we'll get into mastering the front end, the pretty stuff. After that, we'll cover the essential developer tools, venture into the back end, and finally bring it all home with a capstone project. Okay, first up, section 1, laying the foundation. Seriously, think of this like building a house. You gotta get the frame and the walls right before you do anything else. Getting this part right is absolutely crucial, and trust me, it makes everything that follows so much easier. So, in week 1, you're gonna focus on the 2 most fundamental building blocks. First up is HTML. That's the actual skeleton of your website. It gives all your content structure. It tells the browser, hey, this is a heading, or this is a paragraph. Then comes CSS, which is all the style. It's the paint on the walls, the furniture, and the room. It's what makes your site actually look good. Now, here's the most important part of learning to code. You have to do it. You can't just read about it. So to really lock in those HTML and CSS skills from week 1, you've got to get your hands dirty. Jump onto some interactive platforms. FreeCodeCamp and the Odin Project are fantastic, and they're free resources that lets you start building right away. Okay, let's move on to section 2, mastering the front end. So, if HTML and CSS built the house, this next phase is all about installing the electricity and making it a functional, beautiful place to actually live in. Welcome to week 2 and the magic of JavaScript. This is the stuff that brings your static website to life. It's the programming language that handles all the interactivity. You know, when you click a button and something cool happens, or you fill out a form and it submits. Yep, that's JavaScript doing the heavy lifting. In week 3, you're basically going to give your CSS superpowers. You'll learn modern layout tools like Flexbox and Grid, which make arranging content on a page way easier than it used to be. You'll also master responsive design using something called media queries. This is what makes your site look perfect on any device, whether it's a tiny phone or a giant desktop monitor. Frameworks like Bootstrap can also help you speed things up with pre-built components. Week 4 is decision time, because you're going to choose a front-end framework. Think of these as powerful toolkits that make building really complex apps much faster. The big 3 are React, which is by far the most popular, Vue, which is famous for being super beginner-friendly, and Angular, which is a real powerhouse for huge enterprise-level applications. The key here, don't get stuck. Just pick one and start building. Now for section 3, using developer tools. Look, as you start building more stuff, you need to learn how the pros manage their work. These tools are pretty much non-negotiable in the industry because they're absolutely essential for working with other developers. In week 5, you're going to meet your new best friend, Git. Git is what we call a version control system. The easiest way to think about it, it's like a time machine for your code. If you make a mistake, no problem. You can just roll back to a version that worked. Want to try out a crazy new feature without breaking your main project? Git lets you do that. It's a lifesaver for tracking changes and working on a team. And the basic workflow is actually pretty simple. First, you add your changes. Think of it like putting them in a box to get them ready. Then you commit them, which is like sealing the box and putting a label on it, describing what's inside. Finally, you push that commit to a service like GitHub, which shares your code and keeps it backed up online. Add, commit, push. That's the rhythm. And now for a pretty big pivot. Let's head into section 4, venturing into the back end. We're about to go behind the curtain and look at the engine that powers the entire website. So you've built the part of the website that people actually see and click on. That's the front end. But what's powering it all? Where does all the data get stored? How does a login system actually work? Well, that, my friends, is where the back end comes in. Week 6 is your crash course in this whole new world. You'll learn about servers, the powerful computers that serve your website to people, and APIs, which are kind of like messengers that let the front end and back end talk to each other. You'll need a language like Node.js, which is awesome because it uses the JavaScript you already know. You'll also start to explore databases, which is basically the giant filing cabinet where all your site's information lives.
Then in week 7, you connect all the dots. This is where you get to build a true full-stack application. You'll take that beautiful user interface you built on the front end and actually connect it to the server and database you're building on the back end. I'm telling you, this is the week where you really, truly feel like a developer.
Which brings us to our final and maybe most important part, Section 5, your final project. This is where you take every single thing you've learned and you prove it by building something real. In week 8, it's go time, your capstone project. The goal here is to build a complete web application all from scratch. It could be a simple blog, a cool portfolio site, or even a to-do list app. The main requirements are that it has to be responsive, it has to be interactive, it needs to be hooked up to a real database, and finally, you have to deploy it online for the whole world to see.
Now, the single most important tip for success on this entire journey is this: code daily and build small projects. Consistency is everything. Seriously, even just 30 minutes a day is way better than one long 8-hour session on a Saturday. Practice is how all these concepts move from just being ideas in your head to actual muscle memory in your fingertips.
So, there you have it. You have the map. The path is laid out for you week by week. The only question left is, what are you going to build first?